Yes, good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It is just about 7:16 a.m. this morning, and we want to thank you so much for staying and sticking and connecting with us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. In this segment, viewers, we are happy to welcome on set as we speak all things education, the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Technical Advisor Natasha Second. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Julien. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. So as we get straight on in this morning, we're starting on the conversation of the Hybrid Education Committee. And I want to start from that perspective. What is this Hybrid Education Committee? Is this something that has always been existing that we knew nothing of and is now being publicized? Or is this something that is new, redesigned, redeveloped, or totally new? Tell us, what is the Hybrid Committee?
All right. Well, Julian, I am always happy to be here to explain what is happening, what is taking place at DERTech, the Division of Education, Research and Technology, to keep the people abreast of our new efforts and initiatives. So the Hybrid Education Committee is a new initiative, and it is born out of the fact that we continue to lose teaching and learning time. We know that during the pandemic, everyone was thrust into this new online learning modality. We had to learn quickly how to deliver teaching and learning lessons. Teachers, parents, students, persons who had no training, little devices, little know-how, had to engage in teaching and learning through online systems. Post-COVID, we were running towards returning to face-to-face modalities. However, last year in particular, we had a very difficult rainy season. So there was a number of times when students had to stay home. Schools had to be closed, either because of flooding, etc. Roads were impassable and so on. So people were losing teaching and learning time. So we had to come up with, the Executive Council and the technocrats in the division, a way to marry what we learned, all of the positives that we got from the online learning during the pandemic with face-to-face. So a committee was put together, made up of persons within the Division of Education, principals, parents, etc., a large, varied stakeholder group, and we are working towards developing a very pragmatic policy guideline to help us to utilize all of the positive things that we got through the pandemic, along with our face-to-face.
So you said something there that makes me smile. I hear online, I hear face-to-face. We're looking at how we integrate for the benefit of our education system. Tell me a little bit more on that.
Yes. So the persons who comprise the committee, very interesting. We have persons at the tertiary level, like Dr. Shepard at THDI. We have persons from TITO, Ian Williams, he's the CEO there now, and we have a principal from each of the levels of the education sector. This is because we wanted to know what the challenges were during the pandemic. So if we are to try to integrate technology regularly in the system, from a lesson plan level, everyday level, to be able to incorporate it seamlessly with the least number of challenges possible, then we needed to do a little needs analysis. So all of these different people, we have primary school principals, early childhood education principals, secondary school principals, all of us in the team put together the strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats, and we looked at our force field analysis as well to determine how we could best integrate technology in a way that doesn't allow wastage, that doesn't allow too many students to not have access to education, because we know that one of the challenges during the pandemic was a number of persons didn't have devices or electricity or whatever. So we wanted to look at all of the challenges and place a solution for each of them. So the guideline or the policy guidelines will meet all of the challenges that we could perceive of.
Excellent. So the idea would be, once these are then formulated, the rollout would be tasked through, what is it, school supervision, or there would be the schools? How do you anticipate or envision the rollout that will take place? Because you know, some would say we're very good in terms of developing policy and putting it in place, but whether we put it to use or we action it is usually another story.
I'm very happy you looked at that, because to get it pragmatic, we want it to actually work. So it mustn't just be an academic paper. So we're actually going to do a pilot project where we're going to examine how we actually implement this hybrid education in different schools within Tobago. So through the school supervision unit, we're also going to use all of the different units to support. We're going to need student support services. We're going to need the nutrition unit. We're going to need all of the units to work together to make it effective.
So it's a collective effort. And how long you said this committee would have been operating?
We started in April, around April the 27th, and we have 6 months to deliver the complete policy guideline, with all of the needs analysis, with all of the practical elements, what the timetable should look like, how many hours should be spent per day, etc. So we have 6 months to roll it out.
So I know when we had Secretary of Education on before, Zarisha Hackett, one of the areas, she may not have referred to it specifically in terms of committee-wise, but speaking to making some changes to really see how we can improve our education system. Naturally, the hybrid education committee is one of those areas to have an input, as you said, with a 6-month deadline. So we'll be certainly looking forward to that update in relation to performance. And the other one that we want to touch on is Project Impact. Tell us a little bit. We spoke about that earlier. I think yourself, Tanisha, would have been on looking broadly at the reach for Project Impact. Just again, remind our viewers the focus of Project Impact.
All right. So last year in particular, there was a very poor performance in terms of the SEA results. We had like 74.7% of the students scoring 50% or under, but that was a national and even a global phenomenon. So we had to intervene with a July-August remedial program that was a little more intense. But we're going to continue our approach because nationally and internationally, people, even though we're not looking so much at the loss of learning, we're looking at ensuring that students are able to catch up and that they're able to matriculate seamlessly into the next level. So this cycle, Project Impact Cycle 2, we're particularly excited about it because now we want to marry the remedial. So we're going to have a remediation team, and we're going to have accelerated students as well. Later this week, we're going to be inviting about 40, 50 persons, different stakeholders, not just persons from the division, motivational speakers, persons in agri, persons in fishing, persons in culinary arts, etc., because we want to form a committee to manage this July-August session. It's going to be a remediation and acceleration program with a difference. We want to use it to pilot our Tobago-centric curriculum that we want to introduce into the system, where we use what we have existing in the curriculum, but we infuse elements of our Tobago identity as we move towards accepting and embracing and facing all of the challenges that will come with autonomy. We want Tobagonians to begin to reflect on who we are as Tobagonians using our education sector from early childhood to tertiary.
How would you describe the success, particularly, and the impact coming out of the first cycle?
Right, well, we had met with some of the principals of the schools where the majority of students would have attended. Goodwood High School was one of them, Mason Hall Secondary, Pentecostal Light and Life. We met with those principals, and they gave us a sort of report of how those students have been doing, and we were very, very pleased. We were very happy to note that a number of the students, the majority, who had attended the Impact program because they met the teachers before while they were in that primary school level. They met the would-be secondary school teacher before. When they came, they behaved better. They were interested in being in school. One of the reports was that they attended school more regularly than the average child, and they were very eager to participate. So they were active in all of the co-curricular activities that were taking place. So it was very rewarding for us, very fulfilling for us, and we at least understand that they'll enjoy attending school.
Tell us about the importance of this program in the context of what's the hope for the broader reach with regards to development and where we want to see things move, our education system, whether it be the human capital, looking at overall development. What's the overall objective and intent, and probably even possible impacts on our curriculum?
Human capital development cannot be underestimated. I like to tell people that on a national level, the Ministry of Education is investing $50 million in remediation. And we have to prioritize teaching and learning and emphasizing how we do teaching and learning, because we do have an existing society where we have a number of social challenges. And we have to arrive at a place where we can use our formal and informal curriculum to develop the kind of human capital that can think critically and that can solve problems, so that we will have a larger number of persons going into creative industries who are innovative, and they do not retreat from society as often as we currently find. We are currently facing increasing criminal activity, increasing domestic violence, increasing things that should be overcome by persons who have an all-round education. That's the ideal. So Project Impact is meant to infuse the existing system with opportunities for both teachers, students, parents to be able to learn and to grow in an environment that allows us to produce a product that is sustainable and can manage all of the challenges faced in the world.
All right, very interesting at that in terms of the rollout. And I know particularly for some, there's that looking forward to the prospect of a Tobago-centric curriculum. How important is that? Bearing in mind that for some time now, we've looked at what is the broader platform. And I know you spoke in relation to Trinidad. And, I give you a very quick analogy. When we speak to even the, social studies, geography, history, we tend to get what is the national perspective. How do we ensure and realize how vital it is to include two areas in particular I'd like you to speak to, an understanding of our very own Tobago culture and history, and two, an understanding that we ought to have from very young as citizens of Tobago, that we form part of the tourism product, and we should all know the basics of how many square miles, what's our population size, those things that our grandparents and so seem to have known off the bat, even if they never studied one day in their life in tourism, but they knew those things about Tobago.
A sense of identity. People cannot underestimate what it means to have a strong sense of who you are and being able to defend who you are. Understanding what is good about yourself, what is good about your culture, about your history, etc., will help you to improve your customer service, will help you to improve your appreciation of life and appreciation of each other, will help you to understand that you do not have an inferiority element when it is compared to any culture in the world. So there is glory and there's beauty in who you are, how you wear your hair, the type of clothes you choose to wear, what kind of house you choose to live in, harvest or harvest culture. Everything about you is worthy of display. So the child in early childhood, the student at THDI have the same kind of marketability to be able to sell their island and what is glorious about the island.
And I'm happy that you would have said that. And that's a message for parents far and wide. Even if your children are not going to participate, they need to know and understand it because it is part of who we are. I have heard a few of my colleagues, and we were at ends for this. Me and teaching my child nothing but carnival because I don't want them involved in that. But that's the risk you run. You still have to get them together. I see schools expose them. This is mass, this is learning about, this is where it's originated. And that is still crucial. Even if you are to tell the child, I want you to understand it, but this is not something I want you to participate in. But when you hide that information from a child, as an educator and a teacher, you know the risk involved there of that child wanting to find out on their own behind your back. So that's a gentle reminder to our parents out there. Viewers, at this point, we're going to take a short break. But have no fear, we're not done just yet with Natasha second here, technical advisor to the Division of Education, Research and Technology, as we speak about several areas within the education system. On the return, we're going to touch on areas in relation to the school nutrition policy. So we look forward to those upcoming discussions, and we invite you to stay tuned. Remember, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It's 7:34 a.m. And we're happy to welcome you back, those of you connecting with us via TV, radio, and those of you connecting with us online. Just as we prepare to continue, two quick announcements. One, information courtesy the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, Acting Permanent Secretary Erland Kent, an indication that the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition preliminaries were held in Tobago over the weekend at Signal Hill. So we want to continue to wish the very best to our Tobago students and those Tobago persons in the mix there, the groups that would have been involved as well. All the best to our Tobago groups. And that's one of the activities and initiatives that would have taken place over the course of this weekend here in Tobago. All right, we also want to recognize this morning and celebrate some good stuff in the mix. Our national athlete, Dwight St-Hilaire, graduates University of Kentucky with a master's degree in health promotion. The Belgarden native posted the following on his IG page. Chapter summary: graduated 2 years ago with a bachelor's in communications, now a master's in health promotion. All right, and we want to send our congratulations out to Dwight, continuing to represent and to make us proud. You know, there's always this feel-good moment, whether you're representing us at the national level, whether you're going out there internationally. Important to distinguish ourselves as proud sons and daughters of Tobago. All right, this morning as we continue the discussions, in line with the discussions that we're having as we chat with the Division of Education, Research and Technology Technical Advisor, Natasha Second. As we continue the conversation this morning, we want to speak a little bit in relation to the school nutrition policy within the Tobago House of Assembly. We want to get a sense in terms of, we anticipate, or we have been advised that there's some alignments to happen in the context of the policy guidelines in keeping with international standards. Want to share a little bit about that with us?
Right, so we have the new FAO policy guidelines that we want to be able to align with. When we review what we deliver in terms of our school nutrition program, while we have a number of positives, we also have a number of challenges. Meal quality, we have to examine it more closely so that we have a greater standard, a higher level of standardization across the board. The head of the nutrition unit at DERTech usually makes this joke about, well, it's not really a joke. She says we have cooks and we have caterers. So the quality that you will get from a caterer is higher than the quality that you will get from a cook. But we want to make sure that every child, from early childhood all the way up, is provided with a well-balanced and nutritious meal. So we have to re-examine some of our standards. One of the things that I recently learned, I attended the primary school principals conference on Friday, and one of the speakers was Dr. Allen. And she fully traumatized us by telling us how our lifestyle has degenerated so horribly, and that we now have a propensity of diseases, lifestyle diseases that we could control, such as diabetes and stroke and so on. And she described our lives. She described how we come home from work after a hard day and we sit down in front of the television and we scroll through and we spend hours there and we drink a lot of sugar, tea, sugar, the lentil peas has sugar, the cocoa has sugar. She says everything has sugar and that we are all plunging towards disease and illness. That is the basis behind reviewing what we eat, what we consume. Because if a number of us, as we become more affluent as a society in Tobago, are choosing a lifestyle where we walk and we move less, and we consume foods that are heavily sugared, then we are going to be sicker. So we have to change what our children consume, even in the school system, from the early childhood, the primary and the secondary level.
So tell us, in relation to looking at this policy and potential changes, would there be a team that would be formulated in terms of treating with this?
Yes. So that is the model that we're using right now, to engage as many stakeholders as possible, to create different teams and to set timelines so that we can bite off the pieces of the large chunks so that we could acquire the actual outcomes that we want to acquire in a reasonable time frame. So we do have a school nutrition policy development committee, just like the hybrid committee. It's made out of persons who come from the education sector and from the general masses as well. So we have someone from the national PTA on board, and we have members of the division, and we have principals, we have the head of nutrition unit, and we have the nutritionist from the TRHA. So we're all working together to review all of our guidelines. We're not just looking at the meals themselves in terms of portion and what constitutes a nutritious meal. We're also going to be reviewing the cost, the pricing, criteria for children to access the meals, because that has sort of gotten out of control a little bit over the years, moved away from the original objectives, and also the criteria for selecting and for maintaining your services as a caterer, because you have to maintain a standard. We must understand that the child is a whole being. What the child consumes matters. We do have a lot of wastage with particular meals as well, so we want to bring everything in a streamlined and organized manner so that we are most cost effective in our school nutrition program.
And you mentioned that team is also going to have some either teachers or educators, persons from within the schools itself.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think they get a very good idea firsthand where some of the things really don't find favor with our students. And it's important so that that balance plays a role. Tell us about the timelines attached. Is this one of the teams that has already been set up, the time frame that the team is working with and so on?
Right, so this is a 4-month period set out for our committee to complete, and we already started. We've had a couple of meetings before, and we're going to be doing a needs analysis. So we're going to be doing online surveys. So one of the reasons I'm here is to sensitize principals, teachers, and parents to know that a number of surveys are going to be coming out very shortly, and we want them to participate so that we can have a true sense of where we need to go.
All right. So you see, we've looked broadly in terms of hybrid education. We're speaking to Project Impact, school nutrition, the sense of the direction as to where the division is heading. Give us an idea, the overall hope with the culmination as we look in this, within the next few months. By the time you've gotten to that point of being able to treat with the information at hand, what is your hope in terms of progressively as a division?
Right. So we want to have policies that are very clear, policies that are very pragmatic. They're not going to simply be academic documents that are stuck in a cupboard. We want persons who work throughout the system to be able to move towards an improvingly higher quality education product, because we can measure exactly where we're going. So we want it to be transparent, and we want to have high levels of accountability throughout our entire system. In the school itself, on the school compound, we want everybody to be aware of what they are accountable for, what they are responsible for. We want to be cost effective. We want to spend a little bit of resources that we do get from the national purse well. We want to avoid waste, and we want to produce a good, strong person who can contribute effectively to society. Above all, I will always continue to say somebody who is a critical thinker and somebody who can solve their own problems. So we'd have less people feeling that they need to beg or to hustle or what have you. They have the capacity to resolve their issues and to resolve our larger issues. If I could just go back
I just
a
wanted to
little bit.
indicate to you, final 30 seconds, any other areas you want to cover very quickly?
Yes, I want to talk about that Project Impact a little bit. I want everybody to get ready to bring out your kids so that we could all participate. We're looking at the STEAM model, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. We want to use that for both the accelerated kids and for the remedial kids. We want to be able to encourage our students to do basic math and English, but also VAPA, culinary arts, how to do a tour guide, how to create material that they could sell, etc., how to write, journaling, etc. We want a very intense 5-week program where a number of parents, a number of students, and teachers are very intensely involved as we introduce our Tobago curriculum for September.
All right. Thank you very much there, bringing us the updates on a number of areas in education. And Natasha Second, Technical Advisor at the Division of Education, Research and Technology. Thank you so much for joining us here on set this morning. Viewers, we want to thank you for the continued love and support and for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show. And probably this is a good point for me to have Natasha join in as we head on out by reminding you, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.